Let me give just a few brief further updates. The youth work area, obviously you know that nothing is moving on. We've advertised, we've had 7 applications, deadline was on Friday, and the team which Amy Paris is heading up is meeting to shortlist on Thursday evening, I think it is, and then interviews are on the 8th of May. So please do keep praying for that. Obviously it's a hugely significant appointment for our current teenagers, but for the next generations of teenagers as well. So good news, we've had 7 applications. I haven't had a chance to look at them yet to see what they're like. We're going to have a 24/7 prayer week in a few weeks' time. This is part of an initiative from the Archbishops of Canterbury and York. I wrote in the blurb that I put in the annual report that I'm more encouraged now about the Church of England than I've ever been in my 16 years of ordained ministry. The leadership and direction that the Church of England is moving in, I think, is really encouraging. One of the things they're proposing at the moment is that we take that every parish church, every chaplaincy in the country, take that week, the 8th to 15th of May, as a time of prayer for evangelism. And so we're going to do a 24/7 prayer week as part of that, and we'll have more info about that over the coming weeks. And there are also, I think it's 5 or 6, what they're calling beacon cathedrals around the country, which are going to be hosting big events as part of this prayer week. And Winchester Cathedral is one of those beacon cathedrals, and so there's going to be some very innovative stuff going on inside and outside the cathedral towards the end of that week, and then a confirmation service with Matt Redmond leading worship and so on Pentecost Sunday evening. So, in terms of Winchester Cathedral, that's really quite innovative, and as an encouragement to me, and I'm sure others. They've already sold out the tickets to it. Well, the tickets are free, but they've allocated all the tickets. They've got some big screens going up outside, and I think they've already got rid of over 1,000 tickets for outside as well, so that's great. Something brief, I've mentioned this briefly before as well. I am really struck by the number of people who are coming along on Sundays with quite severe learning difficulties or mental health difficulties. It's not something we've gone looking for, but God has brought it to us. And I would love someone in our congregation to almost take a lead in helping us get to know these wonderful folk and how we can best serve these folk and help them in their understanding of Jesus at whatever level they can manage, and to help grow them as Christians. And of course, a lot of the carers who come along with them as well. There's some fascinating stories imagined there, some of which I think we'll hear over the coming months. And so it feels like a real God-given opportunity for us. And I would encourage us to pray about that. And if you think that actually that's something that maybe you'd be able to do, or you can think of someone else would be good to help us take a lead against those people, then do say. I had an aunt who died a bit over a year ago, who was severely mentally disabled. And going to her funeral service, she lived in a home virtually all her life. Going to her funeral service, there were 6, 8 family members there, and 6 or 8 severely mentally disabled people from her home there as well. And we did the funeral service in such a way that her fellow residents from her home could join in, and we had some of the instruments out. And it was a really unusual funeral service, but actually it was so appropriate for that group of people. Maybe in a few years' time we'll end up doing a funeral service here for one of these people that God has brought into our lives. So that's something for us to pray about. Something quick on our service patterns. So over the last year or two, we've begun to experiment with some changes to our current pattern of services. Superstars we've introduced, and we've seen loads of people coming along who wouldn't normally come along to a church service. Our challenge now is to disciple them and to begin growing them, bring them to faith. We've introduced the S2 service. I know it's not universally popular. People appreciate it, I think, more now. We've included communion as part of that, so we're going to carry on including communion as part of this. But some people love the opportunity to discuss the sermon and to church sort of there and then, rather than waiting to a cell group midweek, especially if people aren't in cell groups. We've started Encounter as an evening service, and we haven't yet settled on a regular Sunday of the month to have it, but I hope it will become monthly. And it's already seen people coming along who wouldn't normally come along to church. and seeing people getting more involved in the life and worship of the church who wouldn't normally be involved. And so having these sort of different flavours of services helps different people engage. And if you like, that's about doing our attractional or our come and see mission well, putting on a variety to help different sorts of people engage with God. But I suspect we need to keep on experimenting with different service patterns. The 10:30 service, it feels full, it has felt full for a long time, and that can easily push off newcomers from settling or inquiries from feeling that there's going to be a place for them to belong. And so we do need to keep experimenting with our service patterns and making sure that we're allowing room for growth and development. We'll probably do a survey of the congregation at some point over the coming months to do with our services. And then the final bit of update is on buildings. And David's already said that we've spent a bit of money on this last year doing some investigations with our architect, Derek Kemp from CPL Architects. And at the moment, the question we're focusing on is what is possible on this site here, the St James's site. The architect has suggested an extension either to the side of the building or the rear of the building. I think I've managed to get... This isn't a plan, this is a sketch. And he's saying that if we manage to do some sort of two-storey extension to the side of the building, that's the sort of profile that it would have, looking obviously from Church Street. So actually, a two-storey extension would add a fair amount of room, but wouldn't have a massive impact in terms of the visual aspect of the church building and the trees and so on. But the key question at the moment is what permissions would we get from various authorities, church authorities, council authorities, and so on. And so we've had various surveys done in anticipation of the questions that we will be asked. And so, believe it or not, we've had a bat survey done to see if there's any bats around. We've had a tree survey done to see what trees we have and how good they are and appropriate they are and so on. We've had the beginnings of an archaeological survey to see how many Roman remains there are in place and so on. More seriously, of course, we know there's a graveyard on site. And one thing that we're keen to do is cause minimum disruption to any of the graves. So the next step for us is going to be digging some shallowish trenches through different points in our churchyard, just to give the archaeologists a better idea of how many graves we've got and where they are. There is an old plan which seems to indicate that the graveyard is very full. But we need to know whether that's accurate, and we need to know basically whether the bones are still where people originally put them. Apparently the worms come along and sort of shift them around and so on. And the sort of solution that the architect would be going for would be what he calls a piled solution. So rather than sort of digging out a full footprint of foundations of any new building, actually you just tunnel down some piles, and that would cause minimal disruption to whatever is underground. So at some point, I think over the next month or two, there will be some temporary fencing going up and so on, just to shield from public view the works that are going on. It'll only take 2 or 3 days, but that's the next step in helping us find out what might be possible to do on this site. And once we've ascertained more about what might be possible on this site, then that will help us work out what to do with our other sites. How does dealing with buildings fit in with mission? Well, it's partly about making this building more attractive and appropriate for our attractional mission, our come and see type mission. At the moment, having children in up to 4 different locations on a Sunday morning is hugely off-putting to families. David has said that our giving profile is aging. We need to be working, yes, at reaching our seniors, but also at reaching our families and our young people. The groups that we host in the parish hall, they don't have any significant link to our church. Some would say that the parish hall is more of a sort of detriment to our mission. It provides an income stream for us, but it doesn't really do anything to enhance our mission. And if we were able to bring some of the activities that happen there more on site and link it in with the main church building, I'm convinced, and other churches would say from experience, that helps to improve the mission links that are possible. But of course we need better kitchen, toilet facilities, and there simply isn't room. What we've done already on this site is about as ingenious and good as we can get. So we would need to extend if we're to do something better with this building. So we will keep working at it, and we'll see where we get to, see what the architects and the plans and so on say is possible. The high street, of course, is another possibility. It's not mutually exclusive to doing something on this site. That's very much to do with our emerged or engaged model of mission, and trying to meet a completely different group of people than we normally reach. We were going to include something about the high street on the video update, but as most of you know, Amy's been ill for the last week or two, so we haven't been able to video her. Just to update you, she and a small team of people are working on the second draft of the business plan at the moment. That's going to come to PCC in a few weeks' time. PCC will mull on that and in due course take decisions on that. The diocese are very interested in the plans that we've got. We've been meeting with people who are advising us on potential grants that might be accessible for some sort of community hub on the high street. So that plan is very much in progress. No firm decisions yet, but we're definitely looking to make progress with that.